All right, hello everyone, this is Alex Gray. I have an exciting flashlight to talk about today. This is the Fenix LR40R, as you can see. I don't have this confirmed, but I'm assuming that LR stands for light ring, since it's the only LR that I know of in their lineup, and there is a ring of lights. Fenix can tell me if I'm wrong on that or not, but that's what I'm guessing it probably means. So I purchased this unit under a reviewer discount. Came in this box. I actually have never had a box like this. Usually it comes in just kind of like a cardboard style box, but this is quite nice and fancy. For the price of the retail, I would expect that they'd be putting something a little fancy together like this. We can see all of the outputs here, which we'll go through in a second here. But man, I do like this light. There's some things about it that are a little quirky, but there's a lot of great things to like about it. 12,000 lumens, max 773 meters, and battery pack is included. So let's dig right in. First thing that we see, first thing we'll pull out, the unit itself. Comes in this very thick holster. And when I say thick, I'm gonna take the light right out here. We're gonna kind of look at it in a minute. This material is actually like rigid. It's not cloth, it's foam covered something or other. Very good case. Good for the belt. Although I don't really recommend belt carrying this flashlight, but you can if you want to. We'll put that out of the way. The rest of the stuff that's in the box that we have here, just some documentation guides, manual, which is good to have because of the lighting modes that we'll discuss in a second here. And also I have this stuff opened already because I have used this, but we've got a charging cable. This is type A USB. This is type C USB. This is one of the first flashlights that they put out that has a type C recharging port. It's really, really nice there. Moving into the 21st century. We're gonna move the box out of the way. Put the cable over there. Inside this is, got our pack. Pretty standard. It's got an extra O-ring for the battery, and there's a wrist strap there that you can put on the light. Personally, I never use them, but that's okay. But let's dig right into it here. Here is the light. Let me get it closer here for you. We've got the Fenix LR40R. See two metal buttons here. Lots of LEDs, one deep cone reflector there in the middle. These ones obviously are going to be a flood. Hard anodized all around. Lots of spots for the wrist straps there. This is the aforementioned USB-C port. And you can notice that they have a type A here because this does have power bank functionality. So you can use this to charge up stuff on the other one. I mean, off of it for other devices. If we open this up, see good contacts there for the battery pack. This battery pack is basically just simply 4 18650s that are put together. Now, a fun note about this, Fenix states that if you do not use this battery pack, you cannot get the full rated 12,000 lumen output. Something about this, I don't know if it's boosting voltage or whatever. I'm not sure what it is, but they say you're not rated for the full 12,000 if you don't use this, because you can just put 4 standard batteries right in there, which is something I really like. I love rechargeable flashlights, but I love removable rechargeable flashlights so that if you are in a pinch, you can take some of your cells you have already lying around, throw them in there, and be all set. But we will slap that back in there, screw it together. Good threads, good tight finish. One thing that this is lacking is any kind of roll resistance. It rolls very freely. So that is something to worry about. I think probably they weren't concerned about it because with the size of this flashlight, you're more likely to do that or to do that, since it'll fit flush on both sides. So the rolling probably is not as big of a deal. I guess I should say, as I'm doing it, it does settle a little bit on these ridges, but it's very, very minimal. But anyways, let's get into the light here. Now, this is basically 2 flashlights with single buttons for user interaction. And I say that because these lights, these buttons here, let's get real close. This one is going to be modes and power for the spot beam in the middle only. This one is going to be the power and mode buttons for the flood. And then a combination of the two will do a couple other things, but mostly it's just one button for everything on one button for everything on the other. The one thing that these buttons do is if you click it real lightly, it'll show you the battery. Nothing turned on, you see, but we've got 3 out of 4, so it's at about 75% because I have been using it. But if you hold both of these together, we'll hold them down. You didn't see it, let me do it again to the camera, but the light flashes there. That one was off, and I'm gonna turn that off here. If I hold them so you can see, you get the 2 flashes, and now you're in lockout mode. So I'm pushing buttons, but nothing's happening. It's telling me, sorry, you can't use this. I can't turn it on. It's in lockout mode. Because the amount of heat that this puts out on high, you're glad that if it's in your bag, you have a lockout mode. And then to turn the lockout mode off, you hold it again, and it goes to the low spot. Now, if we're not worrying about lockout mode, to turn it on, you're gonna hold this for half a second, or this for half a second, and you will turn on the spot, and then now we've got the flood. Ooh, giving away my cards a little bit. The flood for half a second there, turn that off. And if we hold this one for flood half a second, hold the other one half a second, now we've got both, you can see. Turn off one, turn off the other, we're holding for half a second on both of those. Also, if you have both modes on, let me do it this way. Got both modes on, so we've got our spot beam and our flood. And I'm gonna hold just the spot. We're gonna hold it, click, click. You see that? It just went off, off. So I can turn both of them off by holding this for a little bit longer. But mostly you're gonna be just operating one to the other. So I'm gonna pull my box out here for the rated lumens, output lumens here for the spotlight. You see we max out for 1,000 lumens. That's for that one LED in the middle. The turbo maxes out 11,000 lumens. That's for all the ring lights there. So together, combined with both those on, that's where you get your 12,000 lumens. If we ramp up, low 350, medium 1,000, high 3,000, high 2, 6,000, turbo 11,000. Yes, that's right. This flashlight has 2 high modes before you get to the turbo. The strobe and SOS come on at different lumens. The strobe is at 3,000 lumens, and I wish it was the full 11, but I guess I can understand them knocking it down a little bit. SOS mode is 350 for long battery life. So I am going to just walk through these power settings here. You're not going to be able to see it very well on camera, but we'll go outside in a minute. So we've got the low spot, and then we'll click once, medium, high, turbo. So that's the full 1,000 lumens, and back to low. We'll turn that off and we'll do the flood button now. We'll do low, medium, high, high 2, and turbo. And then if we also want to put up our spot in the middle, now we've got that hot spot there, and this puts out so much light. We'll ramp it down there. Whoops, I held too long and I went to strobe. But there you go, now you know strobe works too. So I'm gonna pause here for a second. We're gonna move outside and we'll take some outside shots and come back. All right, we've got 2 flashlights out here. I've got my PD35 TAC, which is actually, to be honest, a low battery. So we're only running about medium right now, but it's just for comparison. and then I've got the LR40R. So if we do the LR40R first, excuse me, the PD35 TAC, we're hitting the tree about 150 feet, no, maybe 100 feet in front of us. There we go. We're gonna switch over to the LR40R, hitting that same tree. We're on low for the spot only. I'm gonna switch over here so I don't bother my neighbors. Out there a long ways, coming up to medium, come up to high, and then turbo. This is the full 1000 lumens. Again, PD35 TAC, a little bit more of a flood beam you can see. It's about medium right now, just for comparison. And we do the LR40R up on the flood side of things. Starting right off here on low. And we've got medium. We've got high 1. We've got high 2. And then we've got turbo. And if I swing down here to the road, turn on the spot to hit the middle beam too. You can see the amount of light that that's putting out. Ramp down again. Low, medium, high, high 2, and turbo. So now I'm going to go over some pros and cons that I love. We'll start with the cons because then we can end on a good note. The cons I don't like about this is, one thing is the rolling. I wish it would stop a little bit, but that's not a huge deal. The other thing is, personally, I hate one button flashlights. When you're confined to only one button for all of your modes and power, then you have to get tricky with your modes. You have to memorize what you need to do for each one. And I constantly find myself messing up by accident by pushing the wrong combination or holding it for too long or too short. But I guess the only other way to have fixed that from Fenix's perspective is to put 4 buttons, a power for each one and modes, or to have a third button that's power and then work through the modes here, but then you're going to be pushing multiple. So I guess I don't blame them for wanting to have 2 buttons and not 4. I think 3 would be a weird in between. It wouldn't really help anything. But still, as it is, I can't get over not enjoying 1 button for power and modes. I would like to see that different, but that's okay. The other thing is the difference between the flood and the spot is enormous. I find myself really liking the lowest flood with the highest spot. I think that combination is really good. But when you have this 1000 lumen beam and you ramp this up, my goodness, you barely even know it's there when you get on the other side of it. So if it was, and again, I'm not an engineer, so I can't really tell them how to do it. But if it was me, I would have had maybe a brighter LED in the middle that would have put out maybe 18, 2000, whatever, or a couple of them in the middle with less around the side to have a little bit more of a balance between the flood and the spot. But that's okay. The amount of light that this puts out makes up for the fact that the spot is a little bit underwhelming in today's day and age. But onto the positives. The beam pattern of the flood, because these are so short reflectors and there's so many of them, is great. Even at low, it's perfectly usable for a lot of scenarios close up. And on the turbo, you're gonna blind your neighbors across the street. It's so bright. The other thing I really enjoy is, like I mentioned before, the combination of the two and the fact that you can kind of get a little bit of that long distance plus the flood. I always have loved that idea in a flashlight. Fenix has some other ones that have come out before that have a mixture of the flood and the spot, but this is probably one of the best implementations of it, albeit in a little bit of a heavy package. The other good thing, obviously, USB-C moving into that territory is great. I don't think it has quick charge, like a Qi kind of thing, but at least the compatibility for the newer standards is great. The other thing is, like I mentioned before, the battery pack inside comes with the light. That's a great addition. And also beyond that, you can still remove it and put your own cells in if you want. I love that feature. I really personally hate the ones that lock you down to a proprietary battery type, and when they die too bad. This is a great combination of easy for the person to just run in, you know, charge it up and run out. Or if you're an advanced user and you have a lot of lights and a lot of batteries, you can put your own cells in there too and not worry about what they have given you. One last good thing I'll say about it is the size. Now, you're not going to get that full 12,000 lumens for a very long time because it's putting out so much heat in such a small package. However, the ability to get that much output from basically, you know, an extended can of soda is quite impressive on a Fenix standpoint. Some of their other high lumen outputs have much larger heads. They're much longer. They might be thicker. Everyone I've shown this to goes, wow, you know, for the amount of light it puts out, that's really not that big. So that's another positive thing. I'm sure the fact that these are all shallow depth has to play into the size, because you don't need a lot of reflector area for that. But overall, I mean, I really couldn't be happier with this light. It's a good combination of a lot of things. It's not going to be an everyday carry. It's not going to be a flashlight that you recommend for somebody just starting out. It's not going to be one that you're going to carry on your hip. But when you need that extra power, when you need that extra light, when you're walking outside to check stuff, this light has a great combination of features, great runtime for quite a bright light. I mean, I think, you know, if we're looking at the run times here, I can put on 1,000 lumen spotlight with the 1,000 lumen flood, have 2,000 lumen light, and go for about 4 hours on that. That's quite impressive. And the heat dissipation on here is pretty good. You can tell it's heating up a lot, but if you're feeling heat here, that means it's being taken away from the LEDs, and that happens very well. So overall, great light. Again, this is the Fenix LR40R. If you're interested in this, you can get it on their website at fenixlighting.com. And let me know what you think of it in the comments. Thanks, guys.